Welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we're going to explore the back loop square. Now, back looping in crochet is really interesting because it's something that you would see sometimes in headbands of a hat. It's required when you need that extra bit of stretch in your crochet because it does want to contract and expand with each other. Great concept. It is really quite easy and wonderful. Some people love back looping or back loops, some people don't. You know, it's a personal preference, but there is a purpose for it. So in today's tutorial we are going to be working with the Stitch-cation pattern. I'll provide a link in the more information of this video, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to do back loops and to have fun to make the Stitch-cation Afghan at the same time. So let's get started now. Okay, let's begin. We're going to start off with a slip knot, and I'm using an extra long tail because I'm going to weave that in afterward if you were doing your project. And simply I want you to begin. So remember that this never counts as one. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and go all the way to 36 on your own. And when we come back, I'll meet you up then and we'll start working on this project together. To begin, we need to prepare this chain so that we can start our pattern. So to begin to do that, we have to single crochet ourselves along this chain. So we have to come to the second chain from the hook. So 1 and 2, turn the chain over so that you can see the back hump of the chain coming up, and you want to single crochet into that. Once you do that, the next hump that you see, the next loop, will be sticking up like that. And basically you just have to single crochet yourself very easily all the way across in order to get this pattern started. So please just single crochet using the back loop of your chain all the way across, and I'll meet you back up in just a moment. So I've come all the way across, and now I'm going to turn my work, and now we're going to start doing the back loops. So let's just start first and then I'll get more into it. So we're going to start off with chaining of 3 first. So 1, 2, and 3, and that counts as a double crochet in the rules of double crochet. Okay, so we are in the rules of crochet. So let's begin. When we go and look at a stitch, for example, we're going to look at it and you always see that there's 2 strings. It's like a V shape. Now the front loop is the loop that is closest to you. Okay, the back loop is the one that's furthest away from your face. Okay, so what we're going to do is that it says to double crochet on the back loops only. Okay, so we're going to wrap the hook, and instead of going into the full stitch like you normally would, you're going to skip over the first one and go into the second. Okay, go into the one that's in the back and just double crochet as normal. Okay, so wrap. So once you get that first one up, it's almost very obvious where you have to go. We're back looping and people don't like to line up is when you start getting into stuff that's weird shaping. But when you're actually doing a full rows like this, it's just really easy just to kind of glide over that first loop, go into the back. So in crochet there's also front loops. There's lots of different opportunities to be able to play with stitches. You know, where you stick your hook can completely change the whole look and feel. So with our particular Stitch-cation Afghan that we had is that we changed the color for every line. So this double crochet will be orange, but the next one could be a completely different color to give it a different look, and basically that's completely up to your creativity. So continue to back loop double crochet all the way across, and you can see that the ridges are starting to really take effect, and it's really quite nice. Before I get all the way to the end, I just want to explain something quickly to you, and this has happened to me several times because sometimes I just don't pay attention. You know, you're watching TV and I'm doing back looping now, but sometimes I accidentally just don't consciously think, and then I start doing some double crochets and then I forget, and then I look back and I'm like, okay, well then I'll do some back looping again. And what happens is that when you do a regular stitch, you kind of just destroyed the whole look of your project at this particular point. So this is one of those particular projects where if you are going to look up into the TV, make sure that your mind is still actually thinking about those back loops as you go, because it's one of those where you may not be able to notice right away, but you will definitely notice after you finish a whole row that you were just like not paying attention and not working to the back loops for a few of them. So it becomes very obvious once you get down to the end of the row if you don't notice it right away. So I'm coming all the way to the end. Don't forget to back loop on that final one as well, and it just makes a huge difference at the end. And It just is amazing if you can do it right all the way. So just for kicks, I'm going to change the yarn at this point. I'm gonna just fasten off the orange. I'm gonna bring on a different color and I'm just going to pull it through, and I'm just going to weave it into a few of these stitches, probably about 1 inch or 2 if I can. And it's a great way to kind of change your color, hide in your yarn now, than it is to kind of wait later and to weave in the ends. You can do it either way, but I like to be a little bit lazy and do it as I go, and then I don't have these unsightly yarn tails flying out everywhere as I'm working on my project. So let's begin. I'm going to just turn my work and get it ready for my next color. So I'm going to begin my next color. I'm just going to create a slip knot to start it off, put my hook into it, and I'm going to come back to the work just like you see here. So I'm just going to join it to exactly where I stopped before. Okay, just get everything going, and I just taken the loop and just joining it like this. Okay, now it's joined, and now I'm going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And now I just want to simply just come back onto the same line and just doing the back loops only. Okay, so we just turn it, and you just, the first one is always the tough one to start off with, but you want to look down and you kind of want to just compare to make sure. So this line equals this one equals this one, and we just immediately just continue to back loop it all the way across. So this allows the back loops element to be on both sides, because you are back looping on both sides. You don't lose the effect, because essentially you're creating the ridges on both sides when you're doing so. So this is what we've done with Stitch-cation, is that we've changed the color with every line, and it creates a really amazing look. You have the back looping that will really stand out once you get beyond a few more rows. But in order for you to complete this Afghan for Stitch-cation, you'll notice that this is actually a pretty painless and easy square to follow. So until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time as we teach you more free patterns, stitching ideas, and projects as we go. Welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we're going to explore the cross stitch square. Now this is a stitch that I've never ever seen before, and as a stitch I really come to like. I'm actually really surprised by this stitch actually worked. It's not something that I would have ever expected in my mind. So what happens is that we're double crocheting basically, and just one every now and then one just crosses over. So it's not like it's a crisscross, one is just moving over just like so, and it is really easy. So today let's explore this. This is part of Stitch-cation, an Afghan sampler project that I'm teaching you to do different stitches. There are 10 different kinds of stitches within this Afghan, and I'm telling you this one was one of my favorites. So let's begin. We're going to create a slip knot, and in the pattern it calls for a 3.75 millimeter or size F crochet hook. Stitch-cation I used a 5 millimeter size I with Red Heart Super Saver, and then of course this one here I'm using a 6 or size J, and it's for tutorial purposes. I'm just being able to really show you how these stitches are working together. Just make sure that this pattern is basically easy to do. You can substitute the yarn and the hook as long as they complement each other. So let's begin. Remember that this slip knot never counts as one, and we're going to go all the way to 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and please chain all the way to 36, and I'll meet you back in just a moment. Okay, now that you have your 36, we're going to single crochet all the way across this chain. So what we have to do is that we have to go second chain from the hook. So we have 1 and 2, and we simply turn the chain around and get the back loop only that is sticking out the back. It's like a hump. It's like the top of a sea serpent, and basically you are going to use that loop all the way across. So once you turn it over, you can see that the back loops are just popping out, and it's really quick and easy. So please just single crochet on the back loops of your chain going all the way back to the beginning. Okay, we've come all the way to the beginning, and now we're going to turn our work, and we're going to start doing the cross stitch element right away. Unlike some of the other Stitch-cation Afghans where we have to build up layers in order to start, this one is not one of them. So let's begin. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and this counts as a double crochet in the rules of crochet. We are going to skip the first stitch and we are going to double crochet into the next 2. Okay, so it's just very easy. So just that. And this is where it gets a little more interesting because it's the way that you access it is slightly different than what I'm used to. So we have to come back to the stitch that we skipped. So in order to do this we have to wrap first and we have to come back and come into the gapping space and pop the hook out through the front. So I basically, see how I went into that gap and then just popped it through to the stitch, and then we double crochet. And this one here is the cross that we're leaning over. So we immediately skip the first next stitch and then we just go into the second for a double crochet. Just like this. So the next 2 are double crochets and then we have to come back to the stitch again. So we just wrap, come out through into the gap space, out through the front, wrap, and then pull through and do your regular double crochets. So again, so to restart, we skip the first one, double crochet into the next 2. Okay, and then we come back to the stitch that we skipped. Come into the gapping, out through the front, double crochet. So that double crochet forces itself to turn over onto an angle as a result of just basically crossing over the other 2 that you see. And this is how you simply just do the cross stitch for the Stitch-cation Afghan, just like so. And basically it looks absolutely amazing. If you change its color, it's amazing. I really enjoyed the stitch, and it's not something that I thought would ever be possible because I figured it'd be out of balance, but in actual fact it's in balance and it looks amazing. We continue just to cross stitch ourselves across very easily, and when we come back I'll be at the end of the row and I'll show you what to do next, because we only are going to cross stitch on every other row. We're not cross stitching every row, and you'll notice that when you do this all of the cross stitching will appear on one side and there will be nothing like that on the back. So let's, I'll meet you at the end of the line and I'll show you what to do next. So I'm just finishing up the row here and I'm just doing my 2 double crochets in a row, and then I'm doing my cross. And if your math is done right, you should end up with 1 single stitch left. And mine is right, and I have 1 left, and it's just a double crochet like this. And so basically I've done my cross stitching all the way across, and now I'm just trying to this time just turn your work, chain 1, and then just single crochet all the way across. Okay, and this really does a great job of locking those stitches. That makes it in balance. You'll see that it's a lot more consistent looking once you do the single crochet across. And then the next row, when we come back, we're going to start the cross stitching again, just like what you've seen. There's nothing more fancy. This is as fancy as it gets, and you can change the colors as often as you want to, and it looks absolutely amazing. It's actually a new favorite stitch of mine that I didn't even know existed until this point. So I'll meet you back at the end of the line. I'm coming all the way across. Don't forget, you need to go into the top of the beginning chain 3 in order to keep this in balance. So we're going to turn our work now, and we're going to see. So you have the cross stitch going over, you have the singles in, which kind of calm down the cross, but now it's time to do the cross stitching once again. So to begin, it's just like what you already know. So it's chain 3. That counts as a double crochet. We're going to skip the next stitch and double crochet into the next 2. Just like there, and then I wanted to do that cross, so I want to wrap, pop it out through the stitch just there, and start again. So we skip 1, double crochet into the next 2, okay, and then we come back to the stitch that we skipped out, like so. So you really do find your rhythm. I really enjoyed this stitch, and I hope that this is a new favorite of yours as well. If not, you know, there's probably hundreds if not thousands of different ways to crochet that, you know, all of us kind of find ways that and stitches that we personally like, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable when you have a stitch that is your go-to. So until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. Stay tuned for more free ideas, patterns, and whatever else we have to offer. Until next time, we'll see ya. Welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we're going to explore this stitch here, and this is called the double crochet and slip stitch square. This actually reminds me of fish scales, the way that it's worked out, and this is one that I never really thought was possible either, and I think this is really cool. However, this one I think crocheters are going to have the most trouble with of all of the squares, in the sense that if your tension is way too tight, you're going to be in trouble. So in today's tutorial I'm going to try to demystify some of the mysteries in this particular square, make it easier for you, as well as this is a really neat idea. I think I really like this idea. It makes everything nice and compact. In the instructions it calls for 3.75 millimeter crochet hook today, and we can use that, but in this sample that you see on screen I used a 5 millimeter or a size I, and then in today I'm using a size 6 or a size J just to make it spread out more for you to learn easier. You should know that you can change any one of the patterns that you see in this particular Afghan to be a different yarn or a different size hook, because of the stitch working is all working together and it complements the hook. You know, you can really do a lot of great things with this, and that's one of the reasons why I chose this for Stitch-cation. So without further ado, let's get started on the double crochet and slip stitch square by redheart.com. Let's begin, and we're just going to create a slip knot just like so, and just very easily slip in your hook. And we need to start off with a chain count of 36 for the squares that we're doing for Stitch-cation. So this never counts as one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and please go all the way to 36, and when we come back I'll show you what to do next. I now have 36 chains on, and what I need to do now is that I need to work back in the chain and go backwards. So I need to work along a chain. So we have to go second crochet hook. Oh my god. So here we have it. We have the 36 chains done, and now I need to work in single crochet across the chain. We have to start at the second crochet at the second chain from the hook. So we count 1 and 2, and I need you to turn over that chain so that you're getting the back loop only, just like so, and single crochet along. Once you do the first one, the chain completely turns over, and that each one of these, they look like spines of a back or a sea serpent. They're all sticking up, and you just have to operate within those in order to make it work. So just single crochet into each one of those, going all the way back to the beginning. So I've come all the way across, and now we're going to turn, and this is where it's going to get really interesting. So I'm kind of laughing, but I shouldn't be. So what we're going to happen is that we're going to chain one first, and then we're going to slip stitch into the same chain, or into the same one. So we pull through and through. When you slip stitch, it's a natural thing to be really tight, but you need to operate that coming in the future. So if you're too tight now, you're going to be in trouble later. So now you're going to double crochet into the next stitch. Okay, so you're going to get the height with that one, and then the next stitch you're going to slip stitch. So coming into the next one, pull through and through. Notice how loose I'm being. We had an email from a fan earlier this week. She was working on a different project where she was requiring to do this. So you just have to slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet. So anyway, she was complaining that she doesn't know how you can actually physically work into the slip stitches, and the whole thing is that she has to be a lot looser. So this is a great key concept, because slip stitching is really important when it comes to crochet, and if you can master it and not be so tense about it, it's really going to be your best friend. So continue to do that. Double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch, all the way across. So you're just going to come all the way to the other side, and you will finish off with a slip stitch. Okay, you started off with one, you were going to finish with one, like that. Okay, so let's turn our work around, and you can see what's happening. So you're kind of having the texturing coming out just like so, so you can see the purpose for it. And now this row is really super easy. So this is what we're going to do. So one row is going to be this, and the next row is going to be chaining a 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and we're just going to double crochet ourselves all the way across. So we start off with the first one, okay, and we're just gonna do that. And so you're gonna double crochet in the double crochet. This is a slip stitch. You see how short it looks? That's the slip stitch. So if you were too tight, you wouldn't be able to get to it. You will notice that when you do slip stitching, it kind of turns backwards away from you, so you might need to turn your project more towards you in order to access all of the stitches, like so. So you can see if I was too tight, I would be really struggling right now. I'd be like probably sweating buckets behind the camera, but I'm not. You know, I knew that you need to operate like that, and if you're subconsciously aware that you need to be a little bit looser when it comes to that, you can go a lot further. So let me double crochet myself across, and then we'll come back and review this slip stitch and double crochet one more time. So I'm just coming all the way to the other side, making sure I get right to the last one, and it will be the slip stitch, and then we turn our work. So you can see it's got a bit of texture. It's not as severe as the popcorn or the other ones that we have been doing, but it's still quite fabulous. And now we're going to repeat what we already know. So we're going to start in chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch into the same one. So just so you're aware, you cannot just slip stitch right away because you've just finished off with that stitch. So that chaining 1 helps it lock into position. You are going to then double crochet your next one, and then slip stitch. So this is as hard as it gets. This one is actually quite fabulous. It looks amazing done in the right yarn, and I think that you could have a lot of fun with this. If you got your tension right, this one should be a piece of cake. So thank you so much everybody for joining me today on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. We'll see you next time with more free ideas, patterns, and anything crochet related. Until then, we'll see you. Bye bye. Welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and today we're going to explore a granny square, and this granny square is unlike any other granny square that I've ever done. This granny square is very unusual for me in the sense that you don't continually go into the same revolution. So if you're normally going in granny squares, you continue to circle and circle and circle. This one here, there's actually a seam line right here. When you go and look at the pattern, and I'll provide that in the more information of this video, what's going to happen is that we're actually stopping and starting in the center of a line right here, and what's going to happen is that we're going to turn our work and then go back in the same direction. So this is almost like a steering wheel where you can't continuously turn it, eventually have to go back the other way because you hit a stopping point. So we're going to just continue to rotate and then come back like this. Okay, and so when this happens, what you can see is that you have the front side and the wrong side appearing on one side of your particular Afghan, and you can see very defined rows when you're going all the way around. If you're changing colors, what I would recommend is change it every 2. So you got 1 and 2 and then 1 and 2, and you will have the most amazing, interesting looking granny square, and it's something that I've never seen done until this project. This is part of Stitch-cation, where we're practicing new stitches in order to use it as a sample to make a sampler for Stitch-cation. So let's get started right now. So let's begin our granny square. I'm just going to leave a bit of a straggler edge there. I am substituting the hook for a size 6 or millimeter size J. In Stitch-cation I used a 5mm size I, and then the pattern calls for a 4mm or size G. So let's begin at this moment and let's get started. So this starts off just like a regular granny square. So we're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we want to form a ring. So we're just going to come into the very start chain. So just slip your hook in, grab the yarn and pull through, and you have the very start of your granny square. So let's begin. We're going to work our way up, and we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3, coming into the very center of that same ring, and we want to double crochet 2 more times. So every side will have 3 double crochets before turning a corner. To turn a corner, we are chaining 2, 1 and 2, and then come into the same center and double crochet 3 more times. Just like that. Turn the next corner. So chain 2, 1 and 2, and coming back into the center. Okay, and then chain 2 and then coming back into the center. So you have all 4 sides of your project done. Okay, and to finish it off you need to chain 2 and join with the slip stitch. So this is exactly how a regular granny would work. So this is where I've left you. I've just trimmed off that center out. It was all hidden, so it was all good. So this time normally what we would do is just continue to start and keep going in the same revolution, but we're not going to. We're going to turn our work. So okay, so this is the right side, this is the wrong side. So we're just turned our work. This is unusual for us to remember, so let's just keep an open mind. So we're going to chain 3 first. 1, 2, and 3, and it says to 2 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets into this next space in the corner. So let's just do that. So we're going to 2 double crochet, okay, chain 2 and 3 double crochet. Okay, then you chain 1. And so we do the same thing into the next corner piece because it's already here. So essentially this granny square can be grown as big as you want to a full-size Afghan, to the size of whatever you need, because it'll always stay in balance. So 3 double crochet, chain 2. So even though we're using the going on the wrong side, which is the difference here, it doesn't matter. You can still grow this as big as you need it to go. So chain 1, next corner. So the biggest difference is going to be coming right up, and I'm going to be changing color as well. I figured why not, right? We'll only live once. Have something cool and fun. You can change colors as often as you want to, or as little as you need to. It's just kind of a fun thing to do. Makes it a lot more interesting if you ask my opinion. So we're just going to continue going all the way around, and then chain 2 and 3 double crochets. So we're on the last corner, and you can see that we normally would probably just chain 1 and then finish off this first corner, but it's already done. So we're just gonna chain 1 only, and then just slip stitch to the top at the beginning of the chain 3. In this case I'm going to change color, and then what we're going to do is that we're going to turn this around again and turn it the other way so that we are crocheting on the other side. To change color, all you're just going to do is just pull the loop through like this, okay, and then you're just going to use that string and just weave through the top of the yarn. Just weave it through, and what's going to happen is that I want you to get back to this corner, because you know that everything works in corners, and so if you can get all these corners to work around this string, it'll trap it in permanently for the rest of its life. So just do that, and then when we come back I'm going to show you where to join the next color on and where to continue at that time. So I'm now ready, and this is where I finished off, and I weaved in my ends this way. So now we have to turn it first. So this is what you can do. You know that this is where you did the slip stitch, so if you didn't change your yarn when you turned it, you would know it would be here. Before you turn, what I would strongly recommend is that you attach your yarn exactly where you have finished off before. And to attach it, I would recommend a slip knot, just like so, and then pull it through. So when you go to turn this work, you will be ready and into the same position that you want to go. So moving up to round number 3, it's very, very simple. What I would recommend, see this straggler and the yarn leading to the yarn ball, just pull it through the first one and then let the straggler just drop, and then 2 and 3. So chain 1 with the straggler, chain 2 and 3 without, and you're going to put in 2 more double crochets into the same spot. And you see how I'm trapping in this underneath? It just went right underneath the stitches, just like so. So the corner is, every time you grow this around, the corner gets farther and farther away from each other. So every time you're in between the corners, you're always going to chain 1 to separate from one section to another. Now we're going to do our first corner, and it is 3 double crochets. So I grabbed, see this is the straggler from that pink. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna bury it underneath. So we're putting in 3 double crochet and then chain 2 and then 3 double crochet. You know, your method on attaching yarn and etc., there are standards, but you have to do what works for you. My biggest thing when I was learning to crochet, that I would always have these god awful knots, and then if I was trying not to be too, if I was not too careful, then my work would start falling apart. So I've just instinctively chained 1 because I'm now reaching to the next gapping space, which is in between a corner, and then every gapping space is gonna have 3 double crochets in. So this is just like a granny square. The only difference is that the way that we're turning in between each of the revolutions. We chain 1 and then go into the next square. So continue to do that same configuration going all the way around, and when we come back we'll slip stitch. I'm not gonna change the color because I think this one, because of the way the lines work, I would recommend probably changing the color every 2 revolutions and not every one. But again, that creativity is up to you. You can decide what works for you because you are the artist within yourself. And continue to go all the way around. When you get all the way around, you're going to chain 1 first before doing the slip stitch to the top at the beginning of the chain 3, like so. So you're just gonna slip stitch. Okay, so this would have technically been on a corner on other traditional granny squares, and so you just got to tighten a few things up and good to go. So let's begin. We're going to turn our work again, so we're just going to turn. And see, this gapping space is right in our way. So this is perfect. So this is how we're going to do it. So we're going to chain 3. You already know how to do this. And then there's going to be 2 double crochets into the same space. Like so. Now we work our way. So we chain 1, get to our first corner. And the corners are 3 double crochet, 2 chain, 3 double crochet. So I told you, well, I promised you that you can make these Afghans any size you want. See, you can. Everything is staying absolutely flat. It's staying in balance. It's perfect. So after you get that done, chain 1, and now you have 2 gapping spaces. So essentially on this particular project you can actually look at the pattern that I provided in the more information for Stitch-cation. You can actually count the number of rows, or you can follow in the pattern as well. And it's a very simple and easy way to make a granny square, but have a little bit of a different look because of where you're attaching it, but also because you're turning your project as you're going within each round, and because of that it creates a really interesting look as you're doing it. So on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd, thank you so much for joining me, and stay tuned for more free ideas and stitch work here on the crochetcrowd.com as well as Red Heart. We'll see you. Welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we're going to explore the popcorn stitch as part of the Stitch-cation Afghan series. Now what you have here is that I'm going to be teaching you how to do popcorn, and what happens in popcorn is that we come along and we pop 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 on one row, and when we come back we're just going to do a single crochet and then pop 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 all the way across again. So what happens on this particular project is that the popcorns only ever appear on one side, so the other side is all flat. So this is exactly how to do popcorn stitch. You can use this stitch for virtually any project that you would like to do, but today I'm going to show you how to do the popcorn stitch using it with an Afghan project that is useful, as well as learning to build on your crochet skills. So let's get started now. So let's get started. Today I'm going to pull a generous piece of string so that I can hide it in afterward. I'm going to create a slip knot, and you will notice that the size instructions in the popcorn square, there's going to be a link in the more information of this video to access the free pattern that we're using today. And you'll notice that it's 3.75 millimeter or a size F in the pattern. In Stitch-cation I actually used a 5 millimeter size I and Red Heart Super Saver, and then this one, because it's a tutorial, I'm using a size J 6.0 millimeter so that you can see the stitches more clearly when we're working on it. So to begin the Stitch-cation square, what we need to do is that we need to chain 36. Remember that this never counts as 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and please go all the way to 36, and I'll see you back in just a moment. So I now have my 36 on here. Just a friendly reminder that this tutorial is featuring the popcorn stitch, and that basically I'm showing you how to do the popcorn stitch, but you can follow the instructions along on the pattern in order to make it up to the square. So let's begin. We are going to work in the back loop of each chain only, single crochet second chain. So what's gonna happen is that you're gonna look at your stitches and you see 1 and 2, and what you want to do is turn it over and go into the back loop only. So just turn it over, you'll have one string in the back. Once you turn it over, the next back loop is ready for you, and we just want to single crochet yourself across. So see how I just turned it over, the next back loop is just popping up. That's exactly where we go. So please go into the single crochet back loop all the way across. So I've now come all the way, and what I want to do is turn my work. So now we're gonna start doing popcorning. We are going to change colors in this tutorial just to show you how to do that as well. So what we're going to do is that we're going to chain 3, and remember, in the rules of crochet that is an equivalent to a double crochet, and that matters because you have to keep your stitches in balance. So now what we have to do is that we have to double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So wrapping, coming into the next stitch available, okay, and you're going to double crochet, and then it says to do a popcorn next. So to do a popcorn, there's a special instruction, and it says work 4 double crochets in the indicated stitch, and then let's just do that. So we're gonna come into the very next stitch, and we're going to double crochet 4 times. So we got 1, we got 2, 3, and 4. So we just did that. And now what it says now is says drop the loop from the hook. So now just dropped it, and go into the first stitch of the first double crochet that you started with. So the 4, come into the first, pull the loop through. So just put it back onto the hook, pull it through, and seal it and close it with a chain just like that. Okay, so now what's happened is that they're all joined at the bottom, they're now all joined at the top, and now you have a popcorn. So you can see that it's really 3-dimensional. This really shows up further on. Right now you'll just see it kind of bulging towards you. So let's go back to the pattern, and it says popcorn in the next stitch, which we've just done, and it says double crochet into the next 3 stitches and then do the popcorn again. So we just immediately come to the next one. Okay, the next 3 is double crochet by itself. So what's happening with the popcorn is that you're going to be moving up through the rows on this one, but the popcorn when we do it again will be in between the next 2 popcorns. So they'll never just be sitting on top of each other. So let's review popcorn one more time. We're going to double crochet 4 times into the same stitch. So that was 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and it says drop the loop. So see how I just kind of pull it up a little bit more so I can grab it easier. I come into the first one of the 4, just slide right in, grab the loop and pull it through, and then seal it with a chain, and then put 3 double crochets in again. So you're going to continue that, and continue that all the way across. So 3 double crochets in a row, popcorn, 3 double crochets in a row, and we'll meet back at the end of this row when we do something slightly different. I'm coming up to the end of the line, and I still have 4 stitches left, but interestingly I still have another popcorn to do, which is fine. And just how we started in the very beginning, where we chained up 3 and then we double crocheted into the next 2, that means that we technically on this side should have 3 double crochets left after the popcorn is complete. And because of the stitch counting, we actually have that. So it means that my stitch counting is right, and that I don't really have anything to worry about. So what I want to do at this point is that I want to fasten off my yarn in order to move up to the next color. So you don't have to change colors at this point. I'm just doing it because I think it looks cool. But what I'm just going to do is just going to fasten off the color. Just snip, snip. I pull through like this, and then what I'm just going to do is just weave it in a few of the stitches that are coming up. So about 1 inch or 2 over, and basically this will be trapped into position so that I don't need to worry about it falling out. So this will be the only time that I show you how to change the colors with this technique. You can assume this is what I do for every time I'm changing colors for the remainder of this tutorial. So I'm just going to go over and I'm going to snip this loose end afterward. I'm not going to do it now because I really want to trap it before I get carried away and snip it before it's not ready. So let me just turn this around so all the popcorn should be behind you now. So you can see that you can see indents. Okay, so the popcorn's on this side, and so now I want to begin, and we're going to start right here with our next row. So I'm now going to start my next color. I'm just going to leave a generous tail just to make sure that I don't worry about it. I'm just using green. I'm just having fun with the colors today. So I'm going to start off in the top of the first double crochet to fasten in on my yarn, just like this. And I'm just going to fasten it. Okay, and I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to come back in and just single crochet. Okay, so that's all now fastened in. So what we're going to do is that we're going to single crochet ourselves across this row, and we have to single crochet into each one of the double crochets as we come along. Okay, no big deal. And then in the top of the popcorn where we did that chain to close it, that's where we go. So you'll have to look for it. You'll have to train your eyes to look for it and get it right when you do it. I think I just kind of split my plies there, but once you get it right, it just is going to be balanced. So you do one in the top of the popcorn and then one into each one of the double crochets across. Okay, and so now I've come out to where the green and the yellow kind of are matching each other. Again, I come into the very top of the popcorn. Okay, and then go into the next single or double crochet across. Okay, and so you'll just want to turn it over and just double check, make sure it looks right, and just carry on. So just single crochet yourself all the way across. I was just looking at this off camera, and what I realized, see this stitch here? This is part of the popcorn. Do not mistake this. So pull it apart. You can see that the 3 double crochets are right there. So if you've gone into the top of the popcorn, don't go into the side of it. Okay, look for where these double crochets are because that's the next one. Okay, so just don't mistakenly go into the side. You know, many years ago when I didn't understand this stitch, that's what I was doing, and I was always ending up with like a triangle shape because what I was doing is, see, I just went into the top, but now I just got to look for the next 3, and that's where I start. And because what was happening is that I was putting one into the side because it looks like it, and basically I'm adding stitches for every time I'm doing this particular concept. So please continue to single crochet all the way across, just paying attention to where those single crochets should go. So I'm coming up all the way to the end. Again, I'm paying attention to exactly where I'm going, and now I'm just pulling it apart. See, I've got the 3 in there. I've got the top of the popcorn. I have 3 single crochets left. Do not forget to make sure that you go into the side of the chain of the top. A lot of people forget that, and that's how you lose stitches as well. So now this is what it looks like. So now we're going to turn it and we're going to start the next row. So as I promised you already, that the popcorns do not sit on top of each other. So when I go to do the next popcorn, it will not sit here, but it will sit in the middle. Okay, so we're going to start off slightly different. So example for this particular square and for anything like this is that what's going to happen is that you're going to have 2 different lines of the popcorn, because in the next line that we're about to do, the popcorn is going to be shifted to a different location in order to keep it in balance. So let's begin to do the next row next. So let's begin. We're going to start off, and the popcorn is going to appear between this one and the edge, and then in between all of the next ones. So to begin, we're going to chain 3. Okay, so that is our similarity. So we're going to popcorn into the very next stitch. Okay, so the popcorn, remember, is 4 double crochets. I'm just playing with my colors, by the way. If you're thinking these colors are like, oh my god, you should never put them together, don't worry about it. It's a sample. So here we go, and you got your 4. I'm going to go into the very beginning one of the 4, pull the loop through, and seal the deal with the chain. And now I'm going to single crochet or double crochet the next 3. You will notice that the double crochet going across is directly right over top of the popcorn in below. So that means I'm right. Okay, so we're going to double crochet the next 3 and then we're going to popcorn again. And so let's do that. So you can look at it and say, okay, there's your group of 3. Okay, so then technically the popcorn should be in the middle of the group of 3, and look at it, it is. So I'm not too worried about it at this point. So this is a stitch that people think really complicated, but if you know what you're looking for, it's really easy to be able to do this kind of stitch. This is the popcorn, and I'm just gonna go into the first one here and seal the deal, and then the next 3. So what's going to happen on this particular project, what's going to happen is that we are going to single crochet, popcorn, single crochet in order to move up the rows just like we have been doing, and it becomes really easy. You can change colors as often as you want. It can be really unique and a lot of fun. Because the popcorns are acting as one stitch, you can really play with this in other projects in order to really push your creativity, because it makes the stitches pop out, but it doesn't necessarily change the whole storyline of your particular project either. So I think it's a really neat concept if you would like to try the popcorn, and just continue to go along. So if you're following Stitch-cation, you're just gonna follow the pattern until you get to the height that you need. Just count your rows up, and then after that you're gonna apply a border, and basically it's single crochet into each one of these, and then you equally put the single crochet down the side edge. There should be a total of 35 single crochets going down the sides of the edges, and then again the bottom across, and then 35 up the next side. So you should have a total balance of 35 stitches going in a complete circle all the way around. Hopefully you've enjoyed this tutorial, and you can always access that free pattern at any time if you would like to try this stitch with any other projects that you have in mind. Until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd, and we'll see you. And welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we are going to explore some stitch work, and this is part of the Stitch-cation series. This is the front post double crochet around the single crochet square. Say that 10 times fast, let alone 3 times fast. This reminds me of totally of an escalator step, of conveyor belt, something you'd see walking along in the airport. I love the stitching on this. So today we're going to explore this. You'll notice in the pattern that it calls for 3.75 millimeter or size F. The Stitch-cation I used a size 5 millimeter, size I, and then for today's purposes I'm using 6 or a size J. You just have to match the yarn to the hook, and this is good to go. So let's begin and start this right now. So let's begin by creating a slip knot, and we're going to start off. You insert your hook, and remember that the slip knot never counts as one. So let's begin. We need to chain 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Please go all the way to 36, and I'll see you in just a moment. So we're going to begin with the chain work here, and I have my 36 on, and it says to single crochet second chain from the hook, but we have to turn it over to the back loop. So here is your first stitch, here is your second. Just turn it over and get to the loop that looks like it's a hump in the back, and you want to single crochet in that stitch. Once you do the first one, the rest of the back loops will naturally stick up because it's going to naturally turn over that chain. So continue to single crochet in the back loop, making sure that it turns over that beginning chain. And the reason why they're asking you to do this, if you're not familiar, is that you end up with the perfect stitch work edge by doing it in this fashion. So just do that. I'll see you at the end of the line where we'll continue along with this project. We're now at the end, and now we just need to turn. So this is how simple this one is. So we have what we call front post a double crochet. I'll show you that in just a moment. But to begin to this line we have to chain 1, and then we single crochet into the first stitch, and now we're ready with the repeat pattern. So every other stitch is the same thing, so we just have to keep going every other one. So to do a front post double crochet, we're going to wrap the yarn, and we come in between the posts in the single crochet from the line below. Okay, and so you just go in one side, pop it out the other, and we just continue to double crochet as normal, but this is a front post double crochet. Well, that wasn't really smooth, was it? So the next one we're going to single crochet just like that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just continue to repeat it again. So what we have to be paying attention to is that we have to make sure that we're going every other one on the front post in the row below. So what we have to do is that we know this one here has not got a front post, so we have to go to the next one. And we just need to really pay attention to where our stitches are in this one. It's very easy to get off track with this. Okay, so we're just making sure, and so it's single crochet and then front post double crochet and single and single. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, so you're doing this and you're thinking, well, how is the row going to stay the same height? Well, because you're going down to the row below with the double crochet and you're single crocheting normally onto the same one, the height is actually identical because you're actually sinking down when you go to do the double crochet. So do a front post double crochet all along, followed by a single crochet and vice versa, and when we come back we'll be at the end of the line and I'll show you what to do next. When you get to the end of the line, make sure that you don't forget that you do have that final chain that you started off with, and you got to single crochet that into place. Okay, so now it's in balance and it doesn't look that fabulous right at the moment, but that's because you haven't done enough of it in order for it to take its shape. So let's turn our work and move ourselves up the next level. This one is very easy. We're just going to chain one and single crochet all the way across. How hard's that? So the work to achieve what we want to achieve is only done in the one direction, and then the other direction is just a straight single crochet all the way across. So continue that. I'll see you at the end of the line. We'll review doing this other stuff next. So I've now come all the way to the other side. I've single crocheted, so you can see that there's a bit of contour in the front, but it's not a lot of it, right? So what we're going to do now is that we're going to move up and do this next round. So we're going to chain one first and single crochet into the first. Now we're just going to follow exactly what we've done in the row below, is that we're going to front post double crochet into the next and then single crochet into the next, and continue to do that every other one so that we can continue to have the same contours going all the way. And you're going to start seeing that the line that you have is going to start going in the vertical direction, so that you have what you saw in the very beginning of this tutorial, and it makes it really quite easy to follow when you can follow it in such a manner. So we now come to the end of the row. We're just going to turn our work, and this is where it becomes fun. This is where it all comes down to. So what we want to do is that we want to start off and we want to chain one, and then we want to single crochet. So we need to maintain the front post like we have already in the row below, but it's not just the row below, it's the one below that. So we have to come down and sink below. So what we're going to do is we're wrapping, and we're going to go into the front post double crochet itself and then just finish it off as normal. Okay, so in the last round what we did is that we went right into the next single crochet, and that's what we did. Now we're actually skipping a row and going down to the second, and then we're going to single crochet into the next, and then we're again, it's going to sink down, get that front post double crochet from the before, and make another one. And you end up with these gorgeous ridges. I think they're really amazing. So just every other one is it's a no-brainer. Actually, I just grabbed it wrong. You have to make sure you have to grab it by that post. And that's a good lesson right there to keep that into this video. Could be an outtake. But yeah, you want to make sure you just keep having these posts, and what's going to happen is that you're going to have these beautiful lines within your work. So continue this all the way across. Just every other one is a front post double crochet, and the next one is just single as normal. And when we come back, I'll just show you 2 more rows just so that you're clear, and then I'll let you do the rest of the square on your own. So we're coming all the way back to the end of the row, and again we're just maintaining exactly what we have. Make sure that last one is your front post double crochet, and then you just single crochet into the final stitch. So let's turn our work. We're just going to quickly do it. See, you don't even see the ridges on the back end. This is a front side only. And so then this one here, just chain 1 and single crochet again all the way across. So we're only doing that front post double crochet on one row, and it's always in the same direction, therefore it'll always appear on the front side of your panel. So let's get you to do that. I'll meet you back at the end of the line. We'll turn again and just review one last time. So I've come all the way to the other side, and now it's time to turn our work and again do exactly what we already know. So we chain 1, single crochet in the first, and then front post double crochet into the other front post double crochet from 2 rows below, and then single crochet, and then front post double crochet. And it's just really a nice beautiful stitch. So on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd, thank you so much for joining me today. And this is a great idea, and we're here to inspire and share new ideas with you all the time. Until then, we'll see you. Welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we're going to explore this stitch. This is called the front post treble crochet square. Now this particular stitch is really interesting because in actual fact you're not doing the front post on every particular row. You're doing it every other one. And in fact, if I was just to pop it up like this, you will see this yellow. See how it's jumping all over this pink and going into the second row of the pink? So this just proves to you that you're actually going every other row. So this one is a really interesting pattern because you can actually speed along really good. So in one row you're just going to do some single crochets just to build up the height, but the next one then you're going to do the front post trebles. So without further ado, let's get started on today's pattern. There will be a more information link within the video for you in order to access this free pattern. So let's get started. I want to create a slip knot. So you'll notice in the pattern that it calls for a 3.75 millimeter or a size F crochet hook. In the Stitch-cation Afghan I use a size 5 millimeter size I, and then for tutorial reasons I'm using a 6 millimeter crochet hook. I'm also using Red Heart Super Saver. So without further ado, I've created my slip knot. Let's chain 36. So remember that this first one never counts as one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now please chain all the way to 36, and when we come back we'll start the next layer. So I now have my 36 on here, and it says to use the back loop and single crochet all the way across. So we have to go second chain from the hook. So you see the first one, second, just turn the chain over, and on the second one just grab the back loop only. Once you do that, the rest of the chain will just naturally turn over on itself. And so then you can see then the back loops are then available to you. Just simply using the back loops, see how the next one is just right up in your face like so. You can really easily access it once you get it, and then what happens is on the bottom you have the most perfect looking edge. So please single crochet all the way across for all of your chains. Okay, I've come all the way across, and now I'm ready to turn my work. So you'll notice in the pattern it's actually very easy. So it says chain 3. So we're just going to start in chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and in the rules of double crochet that is a double crochet. So that just equals, and we're going to come to the very first stitch right here, and we're going to double crochet across each one of the stitches. So you're thinking, okay, well that's really not the front post treble, and what I'm telling you here is that you can't just immediately start trebling. You have, or the front post stuff, you have to have a basis, right? You have to have a foundation. So in order to do so you have to create the layers first before you can even think about that. So when we just do this, what's going to happen is that when we start to do the trebling effect, it's going to be playing with these particular rows, but not quite at this time. So it's just one of those ones you just have to think ahead and realize that you have to prepare. It's like a house. You have to put the bricks on before you can enjoy your house, if you have a brick house of course. So continue to double crochet all the way across. Okay, I'm coming up all the way to the end, and interestingly enough I was kind of reading the pattern ahead anyway because that's what I have to do. But anyway, what I was thinking is that the next layer we're still not doing the front post treble. Can you believe that? and I can believe it because I've kind of know what's happening on this one. But here's what we have so far. So we have a layer of singles, we have a layer of doubles, a double crochet, but we're not yet ready to do the front post stuff because we have to put another layer of single crochet in. So let's turn our work, and we're now going to chain one and just simply single crochet in each stitch all the way across again. So the front post treble starts on the next row. So essentially what's going to happen is that we needed this double to already be there, and what's gonna happen is that when you do a front post in one of these, it's gonna lift it up anyway. So this is why it has to be there. This is your foundation. So then this single crochet that I'm doing right now has to be in the middle to create that gapping, and then it's the next one that's really gonna start to see everything. So you really can get off to a really easy start with 4 rows of just getting the foundation before you really even have to think about the front post treble crochet. But you're going to love this stitch regardless. So let's get to the end of the line, and let's get you started on front post stuff right after that. I'm just coming all the way to the end. Don't forget about that last chaining of 3 that you started with, because if you don't get it, then what's going to happen is that you're going to be out of balance. So make sure you do go into the chain of the final, or you'll be a stitch short. So this is what it looks like right now without any of your trebles going into effect. Let's turn our work and let's read the instructions together. It says chain 3, so let's just do it. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and it says double crochet into the next single crochet. So we're just going to double into the next stitch available. Now what is it saying? It's saying to front post treble around the next 2 stitches. So to do that we have to come down, and we're going to come down all the way down here. Okay, so we're gonna skip right over top of everything. So let's begin. So we're gonna wrap and wrap, okay, and come down to this double. Okay, just straight down, grab go through the side of the post, pull through, then pull through 2, 2, and 2. Okay, and it's said to do that for 2. Is that right? That's right. So we're gonna wrap and wrap, going into the next post, okay, from the side, going through, and then pull through 2, 2, and 2. And now what did the instructions say? It says each of the rows below double crochet into the next 2 single crochets. So we're going to come back here, and we're looking. So you can either skip 2 here, or you can just mentally look at it and say, okay, well if that's up, then this must be it. See, if I pull it, it is it. So we're going to double crochet into the next 2. Okay, and then what does the instructions say? Okay, so we just have our double crochets in, and now it says to do front post treble crochet into the next 2. So again, not here, but we're gonna look down. Just look straight down, and that's where you're gonna go. Okay, so if you really look at it here, if you have 2 stitches here and you're skipping over 2, then see this is where it's attached for the other front post. So basically you should just look over and just kind of eye it up. My whole thing is you gotta wrap it before you do it, but the whole thing is that you have to know what to look for, and when you can look for that, then you don't have to worry about counting so much. So we're gonna do 2 front post treble crochet, and then what do the instructions say now? Okay, so as per the instructions, now we're going to double crochet into the next 2. Okay, and essentially this one here is not a traditional pattern where it's like 2 double crochets, 2 front post trebles. It's not working that way. Near the center it changes slightly. So let's just front post treble crochet again into the next 2 that are available, and wrap into the next one. Okay, and then doubles into the next 2. Okay, so we have 3 layers that you can see that are popping out. 1, 2, 3, and now the game plan is going to change slightly. So what we're going there's such thing as that too. So wrap and wrap, and front post treble into the next 2. Wrap and wrap. Just like that. Now you're going to treble into the or you're going to double crochet into the next one, so it's just gonna be by itself. Okay, so now what we're going to do is you have your 1 double crochet in, and so you're gonna front post treble the next one by itself. So you're not gonna do 2 in a row, you're just gonna do the one, and then you're gonna double again. Okay, so it's just gonna stand up by itself, and so you're at the middle of the square at this point, so you should have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then a single, single, single. And now we're going to go back and repeat this same going back in the other direction. So we're going to put, and the next one is front post trebles for 2 in a row. So once you get by that middle piece, it's all pretty easy as far as counting and stuff. The advantage to this as well is that once you establish the pattern, it's really easy to maintain. So we're going to put 2 doubles into the next, or 1 double into the next 2, and then 2 front post trebles into the next 2. So basically once you have this established, as I was just trying to say, is that it's very easy to tell where the stitches are. These create a solid line in the vertical direction, and basically you just have to follow the line up when you're working on it. So now I have my 2 fronts in, I'm gonna 2 doubles again, and then again I'm gonna do the next 2 is the front post trebles. Okay, next 2 are by themselves, so they're 2 doubles on their own. Okay, the next 2 are front posts, and this will take you to all the way across. So you can use these kind of stitches virtually anywhere you want to, as long as you can have the base to start off with. And then basically the way that we started off with, just like you see over here, you had 2 doubles in first, so the chaining of 3 counts as 1, then you had 1 on its own, and again you have 2 stitches left here, so then that means that the final 2 are just a double crochet in order to keep it in balance. Just like so. So this is what it's looking like at this point. You really can't tell that it's that dramatic yet, but it will in the next few rows going up. Okay, let's turn our work. And so then this row is our easy row. This is the one that you can breathe easy on. We're just going to chain up 1 and then single crochet into each one all the way across. So this is creating the gapping space that you need in order to create that effect of the front post trebles that you're creating. So please just single crochet all the way across on your project, and when we come back we're going to do front posts again, but it's going to be a lot easier this time, and I'll show you why. So I'm coming up all the way to the other side, and just for kicks I'm going to change the color because I can. So I'm just gonna finish my final stitch just like so, and I want to fasten off the pink or the red, and I want to move to a primary blue kind of idea, and I'm gonna bring that on for my next trick. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull this up and like this and weave in my ends at this point into the stitches like this. This will be the only time I'm actually showing you how to change color in this particular project today, and so if I change colors at any point further on in this tutorial, this is how I'm doing it. So I'm just weaving it in. Easier to weave it in now than it is to wait later, and what happens is that when you go to work on your next row up, this will all get trapped into position, and I would trim that after all is said and done. So let's turn our work at this point, and we're going to start again. So I'm just going to create a slip knot with the blue, and we want to create exactly what we have. So if you did not change color, you would be at the top of this anyway, and if you're changing color like I just did, you just need to join it back into the top. So you just have to wrap it around, pull it through like so. Okay, and then here you go. So I've already done 1 chain. I have to do a total of 3. So 2 and 3. Okay, so and I would leave this blue down on top of the line. So we want to match exactly what we have going on here. So you can read all those instructions, or you can just simply follow along. You're going to double crochet into the first. Do you see how these 2 are raised? That means that you're just following exactly what you see. Okay. So if you're following exactly what you see, you got the 1 in, now you have 2 front posts here. So you're going to wrap and wrap, and then come into the same posts. Okay, and just go all the way back up. So pull through 2. So wrap and wrap, coming into the next post. See how easy that is? You just gotta look. So you know that you have 2 that are just sitting regularly, so you're just gonna double crochet. Okay, and then the next one you got your front post again, so wrap and wrap, going into the other post that's down there, wrap and wrap, and you do that all the way across. I'm just gonna move that to the back so you have two doubles by themselves. So there's really not hard. You can do entire afghans with this stitch using the same concept. It's really quite neat, and you just have to kind of follow what's in the rows below in order to create a really interesting effect, just like you see. So if you're following this in Stitch-cation, just follow the instructions until you get to the height that you need, the number of rows completed, and you can just simply count them, or you can just follow the pattern along and then apply your border and you are good to go. And if you are doing Stitch-cation, you are going to need 2 squares, but this tutorial today is primarily just to show you how to do these effects so that you can use them somewhere else in the future. Until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. We'll see you. And welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we're going to explore the shells with front and back post stitches square. Another big mouthful here. Look at this. This is very much like cabling in my opinion. This looks incredible. Of all the squares of the 10, I think this one's my favorite. I think this one has a lot of potential. Once you understand this, you could do a really looking gorgeous afghan, something that may look higher end by just using a stitch such as this. So this is a really great concept. In the pattern it calls for 3.75 millimeter size F crochet hook. Today I'm using a size 6 millimeter or size J, and in Stitch-cation in our sample afghan that we have is that we used a 5 millimeter or a size I. The reason why that there's different hook sizes is that this pattern is very versatile, that the stitch work is basically you can mix and match it as long as the hook and the yarn complement each other. So without further ado, let's get started on working on this one of my most favorite squares of the 10. So let's begin just grabbing our yarn. Let's make a slip knot and let's get started. And we just want to insert our hook, and remember that this never counts as one. So we need to chain 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and please go all the way to number 36. I'll meet you back in just a moment. So my 36 is now done and we're ready to go. So what we're going to do is that we're going to single crochet along this chain, but you just have to pay attention to what you're doing here. So you have to go second chain from the hook. So here's 1 and 2, and we simply turn the chain over and get the back loop only. Okay, once you turn it over, you're going to single crochet. And once you do that, the chain will naturally turn over and you will start seeing these back loops popping up straight up. And you're going to single crochet into each one of these. The reason why you're doing this is that it provides a fabulous edge for anything that you want to do. Perfect even for babies' clothing, etc., where you don't have a lot of room to play with borders and etc. Even afghans, you end up with a better edge working on the back loops than you would on just doing conventional chains. That is in my opinion. So let's just single crochet all the way across. So I've now come all the way back to the end, and I've kind of reviewed the instructions because I want to get it right for you. So the way that we're starting is that we're not actually doing the front or the back post yet. We're not ready for that because we have to build a foundation. This is very much like some of the other Stitch-cation stuff we've been working on, where you need to go a couple rows before you can actually start doing front or back posts. So let's begin, and we are going to chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and we simply just double crochet into the next two stitches. Okay, very easy. So now we're going to create a shell. Now typically like any instructions is that there always is abbreviations. So what is a shell? You will notice that it's 2 double crochets as well as chain 2 and 2 double crochets. So you have to, in the instructions it says skip the next 2 stitches, so 1 and 2, and you want to do a shell. So it's 2 double crochet into the same stitch, okay, chain 2 and 2 double crochet into the same stitch, and that is the shell work. So now we're going to skip 2 more stitches and then double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So this is existing in between the shells. So you'll notice that when we started before the shell there was chaining of 3 and then 2 double crochet. So that is your group of 3. Here's your next group of 3, and etc. The way that this pattern works, let me just skip over 2 and do the next shell. The shell, remember, is 2 double crochet, a chain 2, 2 double crochet. So the way this pattern works is that the stitch work balances itself within each other. So you actually have the perfect count in order to keep balance if you're working on this project. Skip 2 and then 3 double crochet into the in a row. That is a treble that I just did. Let me just back that out and get that double crochet in. The interesting thing is that when you start working on these squares, sometimes you pick up lessons from the other squares that you start instinctively doing that you're not supposed to. So skip 2 and then shell into the next. That's your third one. This one is my most favorite square of them all. I think it just looks amazing. This is something, if it was done in the right yarn and the right colors, it would look like something that was store made, that people would pay a lot of money for. I really think that. It's a really great concept, and you know, it's capable that we, the average crocheter, can do it. So I'm skipping over 2, shelling into the next, which is 2 double crochet, chain 2 and 2 double crochet. And then we're skipping 2, and you should end up with 3 double crochets at the end. Look at that. Perfect count. And that completes that row. So you can see the cabling idea hasn't really taken effect yet. That's because we haven't done the front or the back posts, but that's coming up really soon. So we're now at the end. We're going to turn our work, and this is when it gets a little complicated. There's 2 rows that we need to concentrate on, and these are what the 2 are coming up. So the next 2 rows are what you need to do, and the reason for it is that when you're turning your work back and forth, that the front posts change on the side, so therefore you're crocheting on the front post one side, and then when you turn it you're crocheting on the back post. But let me just get you started. So we're going to chain 3 first, 1, 2 and 3, and in the rules of crochet that equals a double crochet. We are going to do a front post double crochet already into the first one that you see. Okay, so not that one, but the next one over, and we're going to do a front post into that one and to the next one. So just coming in to the side, just like so. I should have actually, so let me review that one more time. What you're going to do is that you're going to skip, and you're just going to go right into the middle of the shell and do another shell. So it's 2 double crochet, chain 2 and 2 double crochet. I'm going to review that front post. I actually made an assumption that you already know it. So so here you go. You have 3 here. We need to convert these into front posts. So we wrap, we come into one side of the post, pop it out the other side, and then just double crochet as normal. And what this is doing is it's lifting it outward and pulling it up. Okay, so it's giving it depth. And then you're going to do in shell. So shell's 2 double crochet, chain 2 and 2 double crochet. I'm going to review that one more time because I'll explain something else. So we're just going to skip, and you see the next 3, those are front posts. So when we turn our work, what's going to happen is that these front posts are going to end up being on the back post, and because of that we want to maintain this pattern only on one side of the Afghan. So when we go to work on it in the next row, it's actually going to be on the other side, back post. So that's why there's front post and back post instructions, because it's the way that this project is being continually turned as it's going back and forth on the rows. So it's nothing really complicated as long as you understand that point. So I'll meet you at the end, and I'll get you started on the next row. Now I'm coming all the way to the end of the line. We are going to do our front post, okay, only for the two of them. The third one we're just going to put in a regular double crochet into the top of the chain 3. Okay, so that exists. So there only appear to be 2, even though there's 3 stitches, 2 that are popping out, and you have that effect on both sides. So let's turn our work, and now it's going to be interesting. So now we have to maintain the pattern, but we have to maintain it from the back side. So that's what changes everything from being front post to back post. So to begin, we are going to chain 3. So 1 and 2 and 3. So this time, last time it said to go into the front post. Now you could go into the front post depending on what pattern you're doing, but in this case they want everything to be on one side. So don't think that it's, you know, you're trapping your creativity in that way. So we're going to wrap, and this time we're going to come around to the back of the project, out through the back, and just out again, getting the front post like so. Grab the yarn and then double crochet as normal. Okay, so you're maintaining the pattern than what you see. So you can see that these are posts that have been front posts, but this time they're back posts. So wrap and come into the post, so turn it over, grab the post and double crochet as normal. And what this is doing is it's keeping the posts on the back side. Okay, so it's not pulling them forward. So now we're going to shell. So 2 double crochet and chain 2 and 2 double crochet. So let's work on this one here. So you have 3 in a row. We are on the back side. You can see how this line is jumping out towards you, so you can tell you're on the back, but you want to maintain this. So you're gonna back post, so you're just coming around the back, popping it up and out. Because this is kind of lacy in that way, it's easy to access these stitches. I have to say, when I first started doing back post double crochet many years ago, I found it really awkward, and that's because you're just not used to it. So don't give up on yourself if you find it's awkward in the very beginning, because I'm making it look easy on screen. That's because I've had a lot of practice, and I felt like once I got onto a pattern, I just, you know, how to hold the pattern, how to make it easier for your eyes, how to make it accessible for your hands becomes part of your learning when it comes to crochet. And don't give up on yourself if it looks a bit difficult. The advantage to doing back post and front post double crochet, what it does is it compacts the pattern, so you'll notice that the double crochet is not as high, so therefore you'll use up more yarn, but you have an effect that is more cooler. So what I want you to do is continue to do the same thing, shelling all where you need to shell, doing the back post where you need to back post, and at the end of the line. I'll see you then, and we'll just review one more time. When you get to the end of the line, you have your 3 stitches, but only the final 2 will have the back post, and then the final stitch you're just going to double crochet into the top at the beginning of the chain 3. So again, this, remember what I said. So let's turn our work and we can review. So the 2 here will appear standing out. This one will be appear step back, and then voila. So let's review one more time. Look how beautiful that is. Isn't that amazing? So let's review one more time. We're going to chain 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and this time the posts are in front of you, therefore it's a front post double crochet. If you don't want to read the instructions, you can just see it's right there. So we wrap and we maintain that. So we're just going to maintain that front post double crochet for both of them. See that? And then shell. It is really easy. It's an amazing pattern. Now I'm using a larger hook than it is recommended, but so if you use a tighter hook, this will appear really quite amazing, and in the right yarn it'd be amazing. So let's again, so you have 3, they're stepping out in front of your face, and so we want to maintain that, so that's the front post double crochet for those 3 as well. So hopefully you understand this pattern by now, and just follow the instructions if you want to create it for Stitch-cation, the Sampler Afghan project. And until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. Thank you so much, and join me next time where we have more stitching ideas and projects to follow. Until then, we'll see ya. Welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we're going to explore the front post double crochet, and this is a square part of Stitch-cation. This is a Sampler Afghan where I'm going to show you how to do this stitch. Now This stitch blew my socks off. I have never seen this stitch done like this before this project. I didn't even know this could even be done. I really never even thought about it, to be quite honest with you. This blows my mind. So what we have in the pattern, it calls for a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook size F, or this particular Stitch-cation Afghan was done with a 5 millimeter or a size I with Red Heart Super Saver. And today's tutorial I'm using a bigger hook, a 6.0 millimeter size J, in order to demonstrate the stitches with you. You can change this pattern with your hook as long as that the yarn matches and complements the hook size. So without further ado, let's get started. So let's create a slip knot to get started, and we're just doing so now, and we're going to insert the hook. And this particular square for Stitch-cation requires 36 chains. Remember that the slip knot never counts as one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Please go all the way to 36 for me, and when we come back I'll get you started in the next part. To get started, we need to single crochet along this chain, but listen to this instruction before you do so. So we want to go second chain from the hook, so we count back 1 and 2, and then what you need to do is turn that chain around and get the back loop. It looks like the spine of a sea serpent or your back. It's a line that comes out and these loops are all just popping out. That's where you're going to play. So just single crochet. Once you turn over the first one, the rest of them will stay turned over. The rest of the chain will stay turned over, and the back loops will point upward like so. So just single crochet yourself in the back loop going all the way across the chain. So I've now come all the way to the end, and now I'm going to turn my work. So like some of the other Stitch-cation squares, what happens is that we're not ready to do the front posting at this point. We need to build more of a foundation. So in order to do so, we have to work on another row without doing any fancy stitch work. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and just simply double crochet yourself into every stitch going across. And this is creating the foundation, so the next time we come across this chain or come across the row, we're going to start doing something a little more cooler. So please double crochet yourself all the way across. So I've now come all the way to the end, and now it's time to do the front post fabulous stitch work. So let's begin. We're going to chain 3 first. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and we're going to immediately do and come to the row below, and we're going to do a front post double crochet. So just wrap going into the side of the post and across, and just finish it off as a double crochet. And then we're going to double crochet immediately into the next one like that. Okay, just really quite simple. So what you need to do then is that we just have to continue to do every other one. So the next one will be a front post double crochet again, and then the next one will be double crochet just like that. So please just continue to do that same pattern all the way across. This is as hard as it pretty much gets for the square. It looks amazing, and that's the interesting thing about it, is that there's really no brain power being used up in this one. This one's pretty amazing. So let's just see you at the end of the line, and we'll work on the next part. So we're just coming up to the end, and we're just going to make sure that you got your front post in, and the last one is just a regular double crochet. So this particular square has 2 types of rows. So if you were to do this, you would have a solid line going up, but this is not how this one works. So let's just turn our work and get started. So right where we have, let me just turn it back. So right where we have the front post, the ones in behind is slightly different. You notice that it was a great look, and it's because that in this row that we're about to do is that we're about to change exactly where we're grabbing onto the stitches. So let's begin. So we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and you have what appears to be here a back post double crochet, but it's actually the front post of this. But we're immediately just going to double crochet into that one. This is where the difference is. And then what we do is we front post this one, the next one that's available. The front post of this one is actually a double crochet from the row below. It's not even one of those post work. So essentially we are just changing it in the sense that we're double crocheting where it appears to be post work on the row below, and then we're doing post work where it's double crochet in the row below, if that makes any sense. And what this is doing is it's just creating these gaps, these nice indentations, and it's doing it because we're doing opposite of what we just did in the row below. So this one is a double crochet, and this next one is a front post. So it's how you get started that changes it. So if you were to match exactly what you already have done, then you would not have the same effect that you are seeing right before your eyes right now. So continue that all the way across, and when we come back we'll just review one more time and then we'll let you finish the rest on your own. When you get to the very end, you will notice that you will have a double crochet, and then you just need to double crochet into the final. Okay, so you have what appears to be a gapping of this here. Okay, and that exists on the other side. So you had 2 stitches before you started doing the post work, and the same thing is on the other side. So you know you're in balance. So let's just turn our work, and now we're going to chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And so this time we're gonna front post in the first one, front post double crochet just like you did 2 rows ago down here, and then we're going to double crochet into the next. So again, we've just changed exactly what we were doing before, so that it's now starting to create these box shapes of gapping that we are enjoying when we saw the first sample. So it's just a matter of just going back and forth on this and just understanding what row you're on so that you can match what's going on, and it is really fun and fabulous. And until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time when we have more free ideas, patterns, and anything else we can think of that's crochet related. Until next time, we'll see you. And welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we're going to explore a stitch called the raised crochet treble. This looks like little pebbles. I've found with the cats, they love the texture on this particular stitch. Really quite nice and fabulous to do. If you change the colors lots of times, you're going to end up with a really interesting project. So today we're doing this as part of Stitch-cation, an Afghan sampler project, and today I'm showing you how to do the stitches in order to do so, and then I'll leave the border and all the other stuff of Stitch-cation up to you. But today it's all about the raised crochet treble, and let's get started right now. To get started, we're just going to pull a strand and make a slip knot. You will notice it in the pattern that I provided in the more information of this video is that you'll find that it's a 3.75 millimeter or size F crochet hook for the pattern. Now for Stitch-cation I used a 5.0 millimeter size I, and for this one I'm using a size 6 or a size J. Make sure that the yarn complements the hook, and of course I'm using Red Heart Super Saver today. So for the actual square for Stitch-cation, we are going to chain 36. Remember, this one on the hook already does not count as one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Please go all the way to 36, and I'll see you back in just a moment. To start off with the chain properly, what we want to do is that we want to single crochet ourselves along this chain. So it says that we have to go second chain from the hook, so we got 1 and 2. Turn it over and get the back loop of that chain. It sticks up just like a back of a sea serpent or a spine, and basically you just want to single crochet yourself all the way across, only using the spine or the hump or the back loop, whatever you want to call it. So just please do that, single crochet all the way across, and I'll see you back in just a moment. So I've now come all the way across. I want to turn my work, and let's begin, and it's just really easy. We're just going to chain 1 and single crochet into the first, and now I'm going to explain. So we have trebles that we're going to be doing. In trebles we wrap and then into the stitch and then continue, and what happens is that the treble is much taller versus the single crochet, and what's happening is that because it doesn't have the room to grow, it's going to pop out and look like pebbles. So what we want to do is that we want to wrap and wrap going into the next stitch, pull through 2, 2, and 2. See how high that was in comparison to the single crochet? So in order for it to pebble out, the next one will be single crochet like that. Okay, so the pebbling can either come out the front or it can come out the back, whatever you prefer. That's one thing that you just have to make up your mind when you're doing it, to make sure that you're consistent each and every time. So wrap and wrap, okay, into the next stitch, okay, and just let it go, and then single crochet to the next. I would be inclined, it's naturally wanting to go to the back, I would be inclined to let it go to the back. You know, why not, right? So wrap and wrap into the next, Why fight something that it's naturally wanting to do on its own? It really, I don't think you even think it really matters. So just continue to do that. So you'll notice on the front it looks pretty flat, but on the back you're starting to see the pebbling taking effect. So please do that all the way across, and I'll meet you back in just a moment, take you further into this stitch. So we're coming up to the very end of the row. I'm just maintaining that every other one is the treble and the other one is a single, and you're going to end up with a single right at the end. Easy, right? So we're going to turn our work, and you'll notice that all the pebbling is now in front. Isn't that pretty severe? Isn't that fabulous? It's no wonder the cats like it. I want to grab it. So this is very much like the other Stitch-cation squares, that one row is all the work, and then the second row, which is now, is just chain one, single into the first, and single crochet into each one going across. So you're only going to do the trebling stuff every other row, and then single crochet the rows in between those. So it becomes really easy. So let me get all the way to the end. You can change your colors at any point. It looks fabulous, and it's something that I would strongly encourage. So now come all the way, and this is operating very much like most of the other stuff, where everything is going to work up in a straight line. This is not like the popcorn. The popcorn, when it came out, it came every other one, so you had 1, 2, and then 3 like a triangle. This one here, these will stick out straight going up in a vertical and horizontal position. So let's begin again. We are going to chain one, single crochet into the first, and then treble into the next. And you already know how to do this. And because it naturally wanted to go toward the back before, it's going to naturally do it again. So you don't need to worry about, worrying about if these pebblers are going to end up on the right side or not, because of the way that the pattern is written, but also because naturally it's also following into the direction that you want it to go. So this is very easy, very simple. I think this is a really interesting idea. I'd love to try this in the future with other projects to see how it'll work out, and this is overall an amazing stitch, and you can see that it's really starting to work out pretty good. So until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. Thank you so much, and join me next time for more free ideas, patterns, and etc. We'll see you.